Welcome back to Continuing Sessions. My name is Eboni Harris.
And I'm Eliza Vokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides
of the couch. Your song.
Yes.
Both sides. Let me fix this. Welcome back. Thank y'all for joining us. We had to take a break last week. It was a lot happening. I wasn't feeling it. I'm just going to be honest. After the Breonna Taylor thing and just some other stuff, I was just like, I'm tired. So I couldn't. So we did not do a podcast last week, but we are back and we are going to talk about rebranding your life. And this is kind of like a precursor to like rebranding that's happening with us that we're so excited about. I like series. So I'm thinking like we should do another series.
Yeah. What's the new series we would do?
Rebranding. I don't know. Something about rebranding.
Okay.
Rebranding your life, rebranding your business, rebranding your relationship.
Like this is new me. New me. Who this?
Right. New quarter, new me. So yeah, we're gonna talk about rebranding your life and just what that means and how do you do it, and even I guess to start, like, why would you need to rebrand your life? What's the point?
Well, for me, the way that I see it, that implies evolution, right? Rebranding implies evolution. And for me, I am of the growth mindset. So what's the point? For me, I feel like that's the point of life, right? Like that I am consistently refinding myself, redefining myself, growing, evolving. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the point of life. I don't want to be the same person at 44 that was at 24. I want to keep changing.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like if you're not, we're all dying. That's the direction we're going in. But if you're not growing, well, because I was gonna say if you're not growing, you're dying. But I was like, that's not true because we're dying anyway. But if you're not growing, like you're not living. I feel like, well, for me, that's for me. I try to be mindful of, because I always used to have this idea of like everybody should have ambition and growth and da. Some people are like, but I like my life and I want to keep it like this. That's fine as well. But I always want to. I want to have different lives, if that makes sense, like different experiences. Like I want to be able to, like you said, not be the same person I was 10 years ago. All of our cells regenerate, so do our lives. Like we can change lives and have a different life every 7 years or however many years. And it doesn't have to be anything major. It's just a matter of like, what do I want different this time at this point in my life? So
I think you're making a good point, because I think that's part of what scares people sometimes, this idea of change. We're not saying that you have to get a divorce and move to a new city. For you, it may be that, but having a new life and this whole rebranding of ourselves and growth and evolution, sometimes that's just our mindsets.
Yeah.
Right. Like how the filter through which we see the world. And so I think we need to make that clear. We're not saying you have to have a completely different life and
overhaul. Right.
Yeah. it could be, but that would be, kind of hard to do every single year, probably. Yeah. So we're just saying, like, what do I know now at the end of 2020 that maybe I didn't know at the end of 2019 or even at the beginning of 2020.
So much.
Yeah, so much. And how do I use those lessons to show up even more and more fully in myself in 2021?
Right.
So that's along the lines of what we're talking about.
Definitely. And that goes right into the first point, right? Like when we're talking about rebranding our lives, a big part of it is like looking at your life as it is right now, taking stock of your life as it is. Yeah. I don't know what taking stock means, but I know people use that. People use that phrase.
It's so funny because we had this offline conversation. She's like, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to use it.
Use it anyway. People say taking stock. So take stock of your life.
Right. Well, it just means, hey, let's see what's in the pantry of my life, right? Like, let me take stock.
Open it up.
What's there? What are my thoughts? What are my beliefs? What are my values? What are my relationships? What is going on in my life right now? Are there any areas that I'm seeing my life is maybe limited in some area? Maybe it's your career. Maybe you're not where you want to be in your career. Maybe it is your relationship. Maybe it's your relationship with your kids, whatever it may be. There's nothing wrong with us sitting back and really being able to look at the big picture of what makes up our lives.
Yeah.
And then to see, do I want to focus my energy on any of these areas?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like you said, it could be such a thing of like, is my mind different? Am I still worried or frustrated or reacting to the same things that I've been reacting to for the past 5 years, right? So again, it doesn't have to be this big thing, but like, what do I want different? So what is currently happening now? Let's focus on that. And when I'm looking at that, what are some things that's like, I probably could do away with that, right? If I'm angry all the time, how do I deal with that? If I'm, not in a career I want, how do I deal with that? Like, but just really taking a really transparent look. Any type of change has to start with like looking at where you're at right now and being very honest and transparent about where you are right now.
And sometimes that's the really hard part.
Yep.
And sometimes that's really difficult for us to do by ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is another reason for therapy because, it's not just that we don't want to be honest with ourselves. I've used this example before. If I have food on my face, I can't see it. I'm too close to it. So some of these ways where we're limiting ourselves in our lives or the patterns that we're repeating, it's difficult for us to identify them because we're too close to it. We're in it. We're in it, and we need somebody from outside to reflect back to us what they're seeing as to how I might be contributing to where I'm at in my life right now.
Right. It's easier when someone is there with you and helping you identify. And I'm thinking about just anything when couples come in, right? The first thing is like, okay, what's going on right now? I'm thinking about when you want to like organize your house. You kind of pull everything out and look at everything. Like that's the step that you have to take. And it, like you said, it can be the hardest one, but it's the most necessary because if you don't have that honesty and that transparency about where you are now, then you can't decide how you're going to move forward. It's going to be really hard to make a clear path of how you move forward. So the next part is, what is the vision of the life that you want? What's the vision that you have of the life that you want?
You got to be able to create a vision and hold a vision of the life that you're creating. The life that you are creating, this is going to be your North Star. This is going to be where you set your intentions about what changes you're going to make, how those changes you're going to make, and what it's going to look like. I think it's so important. I incorporate this into my work a lot with clients in that, okay, how will you know that you got what you needed out of therapy 6 months, 8 months down the line? Sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we'll say, well, I want to be happy. What does that mean? What does that look like? How will you know you're happy? So the more we can allow for ourselves to create a vision and explore and get creative and get curious, because sometimes we know what we don't want, but we don't know what we want.
Right.
And that's part of the work. That's part of living an intentional life, is being really clear on what it is that I want. So you're taking stock and you know what you don't want, but maybe you don't know what it is that you want. That's okay too. That's something that you can begin to explore. Create that vision in your mind. So what do I want my relationships to look like? Maybe there's not every single area in my life needs an overhaul. Maybe it's primarily my self-care and how I care for myself. Maybe I'm seeing more and more that I'm always at the end of the list, that I sometimes don't even put myself on.
Yeah.
So I have to ask myself, what would it look like if I wasn't excluding myself from my care, from my intention? What would that look like? And I think if we can set that intention and hold that vision in our mind, or maybe even ask ourselves situation to situation, what would it look like if I was practicing self-care? Okay, is that what I'm doing right now? No. Okay, so my anchor in all of this, in my North Star, is that vision that I am creating for myself.
Definitely. And I think, what you said is perfect. I'm not going to add a lot, but I feel like also you have to focus on don't focus on the details when you're thinking about the vision of what you want it to look like. Because I think a lot of times we get so caught up on the details that if it doesn't look exactly like we thought it would, then we're like, oh, I didn't attain it. And that's just not the case. Sometimes it's like, I just want to be different. I want a different mindset. I want to put myself first. And maybe I thought that meant I would be getting pedicures and facials once a week. But the reality is I'm like taking a hour bubble bath, or I'm meditating, or I'm actually deciding like I'm going to just make a decision for me before I make a decision for everybody else. So it may not look exactly how you think it will, but just be clear on like what the vision is, but don't get caught up in the details when it comes to that. So
that's good. That's good. And I think if you can, again, kind of go back to that, like, what would it look like in this moment?
Yeah.
Then that makes it a little bit more digestible than feeling like we have to figure our whole life out.
Right.
Today.
Right. And really, and focusing on the next step, as opposed to like you have the end goal, but then all you need to focus on is what's the next right step? What's the next right step?
Yes.
So you want to make sure also that you grieve what you have to let go. So when we're talking about rebranding, a big part of that is, okay, what I thought was going to come with me may not fit in the new life that I'm designing. That I might have to let go of mindset, relationships. I don't know. That's the main two I could think of.
Yeah.
But there are things that you have to let go. And so make sure that you're going through that grieving process as well.
Yeah, you have to let go of a way of life. You have to let go of how you relate to yourself, how you relate to others, how others relate to you also. And again, it may not be something major. And it may be that like, okay, up until now, my self-care was ice cream at 8 p.m. every night, like where I'm realizing, hey, this isn't necessarily what's working for me if I'm doing it every single night and not balancing it out with other things. So there's, I'm gonna grab that for a minute. That was a coping skill that I actually really enjoyed. Let go of that, So it could be something like that, or it could be I'm realizing that in my relationship, it's very one-sided and I can't live like that anymore. And so even though I'm recognizing what it is that I need to do, that doesn't mean that it's easy. And I have to really work through my ideas of what it will be like to be outside of this relationship, right? And then when I finally get outside of that relationship, you may miss that relationship, even if it was no longer working for you.
Right.
Even if it was, I had to get out it. Anytime we have loss, we have to allow ourselves the grieving process. And the grieving process is more than just, okay, I'm going to cry, right? Like there may be tears, but it's allowing yourself to feel that loss and allowing the feelings to come up and then allowing yourself to funnel them somewhere. That might be journaling. That may be having crying spells. That may be regular therapy until you're able to adjust to this new life. But be prepared that there's going to be a grieving process of some extent. It may not be as intense as that, but there'll be some loss there. And we have to allow ourselves to grieve it.
Right. Don't pretend like that doesn't exist, and don't pretend like it's no big deal. I'm just moving past it. When we've been doing things in our life for a very long time, it's hard and it's sad when it no longer fits whatever we're moving into, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So how do we reintroduce ourselves to the world? Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is.
Are you Ebony Harris 2.0?
2.0. Yeah. So
do you need to post online? Do you need to email everybody? You can.
I'm different. I'm new. Right. New mindset. Who this?
Yeah, you don't know the new me. Yes. I mean, you could, but I think it's more important that you allow this new way of life, this new way of thinking, this new way of being and existing to do the introducing for you.
Definitely.
Let your actions, let your behavior, let your energy reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily make a big announcement. You can, like you said, but it truly should be as you are shifting, as you're changing, people just notice it. I always think about that when it's the same as when we talk about like Christianity, and it's like you don't have to shout from the rooftops that you're a Christian. Just the way that you live and your walk should show that you're a Christian, you know. So it's not necessary all the time to like tell people I'm different. And you know, I love when people post the memes talking about like how they're about to delete people and I'm leaving people. Right. And it's like, well, you could just do it. You don't have to like not see it. Because that, again, when you are moving into a different area, sometimes you don't even have to like make a big deal about it because the people or whatever that's supposed to be around you will be there. You don't necessarily need to make this grand decision of like, I'm cutting you out of my life, because if they no longer fit, they won't be there. But also prepare for the pushback, prepare for, you know, what could come, the negativity that may come with it, but also be open to like the love that comes with it as well. Like, seek the love, but prepare yourself for the pushback.
Right. Because we've said it, we've said this so many times in this podcast and different episodes that not everybody will be excited about your changes. You know, I think people they will usually really root us on and cheer for us when it comes to growth until they realize how it's going to impact them. Right? Like, I was like, oh, this growth idea was a great idea, but then they realize then how that changes the dynamics maybe of the relationship with you, and it may not be what they're excited about. So prepare for the pushback, and that's why we just have to do so much of this internal work to get so centered and to get so grounded in who we are, because it is just human nature that people are going to push back when there's change. It just is. So we have to really understand our why. We have to really hold on to that vision of ourselves. We have to know ourselves on a deeper level as people are starting to know us in a different way. Otherwise, it's so easy to get swayed and to begin to doubt ourselves and maybe even feel shame or guilt about the changes that we're making.
Definitely. And this is why you want to recognize that pushback is going to happen, and there may be some changes, but if you are truly moving in the path that works for you, then you will have people that gravitate you, or you will have, you know, you'll be able to find like other sources of like love and care and all of that, because when you're moving in that direction, then you attract people that are going in the same way with you, or going the same way with you. So, you know, be open to that, seek that out, make sure that you're keeping your eyes open to that, as opposed to spending so much time paying attention to the pushback.
Yep. That's it. There is pushback, but there is also love, and there is also support. So be open and receptive to that as well.
Yep. All right, guys, that's all we got for you today. It's been fun. We will talk to y'all next time. Make sure you follow us across social media at Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter. Head over to melaninandmentalhealth.com to check out our website. So excited. Make sure that if you are a therapist, that you are signing up for the directory. Also be checking your inboxes for the therapists that are on the directory. Be looking out for some news in your inbox. And I think that's all. Make sure you subscribe, rate, leave us a comment. Let us know.
Leave us a comment. What do you want to hear about? What do you want us to talk about? We love to talk, but we want to make sure we're talking about the things that are important to you. Definitely. So send us some suggestions.
Definitely. And we will talk to y'all next week.
Bye.